Okay, Justice Center. First, we're talking about the Emergencies Act. Remember that? Remember when Justin Trudeau violated the common sense of Parliament, I guess, and declared an emergency against truckers who were just protesting Justin and what he's up to. And so the Justice Center said the federal court hearing, and then he instituted the Emergencies Act, right? So Justice Center says the federal court hearing this challenge on the constitutionality of invocation of the Emergencies Act starts today. The Justice Center is supporting 4 Canadians affected by the government's use of this act. Register to watch the public hearing here. So the public inquiry, the Rouleau Commission came back with, they had to declare the emergency. Didn't you see the bouncy castles? Super, super dangerous. And now people are questioning that still, but I don't know if it's going to have too much oomph. I don't know if it's going to have too much oomph or if it's just going to disappear into the ether, like all the other scandals, like the China scandal, just evaporating. Why? Why did the China scandal just evaporate? This is Han Dong, and this is his lawyer's publicly released press release for immediate release regarding Global News' libel against Han Dong. So this was published March 31st, and they say, on behalf of our client Han Dong, we served a libel notice on Global News, Chorus Entertainment, Sam Cooper, Sonia Verma, Craig Offerman, and others today. We demand Global News issue a full apology and retraction of the false, malicious, and irresponsible and defamatory statements that Global News has published and broadcast about Mr. Dong. The notice refers to 2 articles published on Global News website and several accompanying broadcasters aired on Global National and other Global News programs in February and March 2023, which make damaging and false allegations against Mr. Dong based on unverified information received from unnamed intelligence sources. Mr. Dong has suffered damage to his reputation and career as a result of Global News reporting targeting him with these vicious and untrue accusations. He and his family have also received racist messages and death threats as a result of these accusations. The damage caused by Global News reporting is ongoing and will continue to harm Mr. Dong's reputation and interfere with his life and the lives of his family members. Mr. Dong respects and supports the critical role that responsible journalism plays in a free and democratic society. Indeed, Mr. Dong's family came to Canada seeking those very values. He voted in the House of Commons for public inquiry into foreign election interference because he believes the truth should come out. There hasn't been any movement on that vote, has there? Back to the letter. In the course of its reporting on issues surrounding the investigation of possible election interference in Canada, Global News has failed to follow principles of responsible journalism and has maliciously made false claims about Mr. Dong. Mr. Dong intends to bring a libel action against Global News and the people responsible for these publications to address these wrongs and clear his name. For further information, please contact this person at blah. Sincerely. And then the lawyer signs their name. So that's Han Dong's position, and that could chill any further bombshells coming this week or next week or anything like that, unless you find another avenue to release these things. And honestly, I mean, Sam Cooper and Global News, Sam Cooper he has the name. He's made his name doing this type of work, right? And so it's very interesting having those guys take it out of the game. I don't know that there's anybody else who could legitimately release this stuff and stand up to the scrutiny, right? And I don't like Global News. I'm not a fan of Global News generally, but I think there are people in positions like Sam Cooper doing great work. So, who knows what the motivations of the Global News or the people who own Global News are, et cetera, et cetera. But it seems like Sam Cooper is trying to expose something serious, and he's getting cut off through legal maneuvers, through the inability to drop this government, because in reality, Jagmeet Singh should have dropped this government as soon as it was apparent that there was Chinese interference in our elections so we could have a clean election. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that without finding out where the Chinese interference, how extensive it is. They always say, it didn't have anything, it didn't interfere with the election results, but we know it happened. So how do you know it didn't interfere with the election result? How much did it impact the election result? By what number? Show me the math. Show me where you got the numbers for the math. Show me all of it, right? Open it all up, transparent. But they're not transparent. So they just say that to have people forget, because you do forget. We all forget. It's just incredible how forgetful humans are, right? Here, I just thought this was a fantastic meme, right? So Twitter's great for memes. On the left is Xi Jinping, and it says genuine communist dictator. And then Justin Trudeau on the right, cheap Chinese knockoff. Right? Come on. That's fantastic. I thought it was so funny. I actually went, ha. When you say LOL, but you're not really laughing out loud? I laughed out loud. Okay, Holly Doan says, we have evidence, names, circumstances. This is Michael Juno K. Katsia. CSIS has 30 years worth of records on federal ridings that are hunting grounds for Chinese communist agents, says former chief analyst. And this is Holly Doan reporting this morning, 7:23 a.m. So that's April 3rd. CSIS knew, and they've known for 30 years, and there's Chinese hunting grounds. Do you know if you live in a Chinese hunting ground riding? How do you know? I guess you'd notice, probably, right? Very interesting stuff. Is this the next bombshell? I don't know. It's a little intangible. They've known for 30 years, and we've done nothing? We've been a vassal state for 30 years? It seems plausible. In all honesty, I've heard similar stories. Both cabinets have done Mulrooney's bidding, or Mulrooney was the same, and everybody's been the same. Mulrooney did a speech saying everybody's passed over and we wouldn't be where we are with our overall plan unless everybody kind of agreed to all of this. So plausible. Sure could be. Often I think, is it the Chinese communists who are pulling Klaus Schwab's puppet strings, or is it Klaus Schwab pulling the Chinese communist puppet strings, or are they different puppets pulling different strings, competing puppets? I have no idea. But it seems like there are levels above our government that are pulling strings that our government must listen to over and above the constituents. Laura says, let's talk drag queens instead. Chinese spy balloon did gather intelligence from sensitive U.S. military sites before it was shot down. Anybody with sense who watched all of that whole thing unfold knew that the thing was collecting sensitive information, et cetera, et cetera. That day, they didn't shoot it down at all. It's crazy. Everybody knew. Now they're reporting it like it's news. It's funny because it's supposed to be a distraction, right? But just plays into the Chinese story. So I was telling you about it. Here's another thing. Rebel News reporting yesterday, along with the 3 fired for being foreign agents, dozens of other federal employees were stripped of security clearances. Feds have fired 3 employees as spies since 2017. I think it's, again, really interesting how easily things like the Winnipeg lab papers have been just covered up and never to be spoken about again. Certain other scandals, they're irrelevant because too much time has passed. They're not politically hot anymore. Everybody knows about it. Like the blackface stuff. Everybody knows about it. He's been reelected, so it's not an issue anymore. It seems strange to have this focus on virtue signaling and racism while at the same time behaving the way Justin Trudeau behaves, right? Like it's a very strange thing. Here's the internet, next phase of the internet being censored. And again, this is Blacklock's reporter Holly Doan reporting. Cabinet, in a letter to MPs, said it's committed to appointing an internet censor board called the Digital Safety Commission to police legal content. So wait for content to be policed. You can't say that. That's illegal. You can't say men can't be women, even if it is biologically, scientifically correct. You're not talking about that. You're talking about our ideology, and we know what you're talking about. So Pierre Poilievre says, freedom, it's our lifeblood. It's a God-given right, and no government power should ever take it away. This is a 3-minute long speech. I don't know if there's a good place to stop it halfway. If there is, I guess I'll stop it. But the whole speech is worth listening to. We might just listen to it all. Here we go.
This is a bill that is designed to take away that right and to concentrate it in the hands of the few. And do not take my word for it. Listen to Margaret Atwood. Again, no friend of conservatism. And she said, all you have to do is read some of the biographies of the writers writing in the Soviet Union and the degrees of censorship they had to go through. Government bureaucrats. So it is creeping totalitarianism if governments are telling creators what to create. End quote. Those are her words. Creeping totalitarianism. If anyone else in Canada had used those terms, they would have been called alarmist. But someone who is part of the literary establishment in this country, possibly among the most well-known, someone with whom I agree on almost nothing because our views are not at all aligned. But she understands one thing, and that is that the power of words can only exist in concert with the freedom to express those words. I'm sure that she would vigorously debate most of the things that I say on the floor of the House of Commons, but that's only possible if you have freedom to debate. Disagreement is the lifeblood of democracy. It is the worst system of government, except for all the others, in the words of the great Winston Churchill. It is messy, it is frustrating, it is arduous in every day and every way. It would be much easier to have, as the Prime Minister has suggested, a basic Chinese communist dictatorship where a powerful hand can decide at a whim. That was the reason why he admired. He said that they decide on the spot what to do and they impose their decisions without any debate. That would be a lot easier in the short run. You know, oftentimes we're told there's too much partisanship and disagreement in Canada. There are places in the world with no partisanship and no disagreement. And Madam Speaker, they are terrible places to live. I would rather live in a place where we're allowed to disagree, where we're allowed to speak out. That is who we are as Canadians. And the question is, who decides? Do we allow a small group of privileged insiders close to the Prime Minister decide what we think, say, and believe, or do we believe that every single Canadian is endowed by God with the ability to decide for themselves? Madam Speaker, I believe every Canadian has that ability, and that is why we will stand up every day, in every way, for the Section 2B rights of freedom of expression. That is who we are. That is what we believe. It is the common sense of the common people united for our home. Your home, my home, our home, Canada, let's bring it home.
I don't know about the ending of that. And there was a couple of rhymey things that were meant to be there because speech, we're kind of singing when we talk. So it is meant to be there. It's pleasing to the ear. People will remember the rhythm more than they'll remember the words. It was a good little speech. Again, my issue with Mr. Poilievre is not what he says very eloquently and very well. My issue with him is what he doesn't say. What about the fired healthcare workers? It's an easy, low-hanging fruit thing to latch onto and to attack people for and to say, you should do this. This would fix it quickly. But he's silent on it, right? And there are things that I'm concerned about. So that's one of them. Elon Musk talks about New York Times, talking about speech, talks about the New York Times losing their blue check mark. So the New York Times wouldn't pay Elon Musk, so they lost their blue check mark. And so they have 55 million followers. I think they pay for followers. I think Dean Blundell does too. And the reason I think they pay for followers is because if you click the New York Times feed, 55 million followers and like 100 likes? Come on, really? Seriously? It doesn't make much sense. If you have 55 million followers, you have zero engagement. You have less than 1% engagement? What? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's insane. 55 million followers and you get no retweet, or like you get very low engagement. It's so wild. Okay, so there's 3,000 there, 197, right? New York Times opinion, 97 likes. Like, how unpopular is this? 148 likes for this one. An hour ago, 231. That's not doing too badly. Another one from an hour ago, 67 likes, right? It just doesn't, it defies logic to have such low engagement on something that's supposed to be one of the pinnacles of speech. Anyway, Elon Musk stripped them of their blue checkmark because they wouldn't pay $8 a month. And he's saying they're irrelevant. I think he's probably right. Maybe they can't afford the $8 a month. Viva Fry says Justin Trudeau. Well, he's responding about Justin Trudeau. Yesterday, I laughed about Justin Trudeau creating a YouTube account because he wants to censor the internet. So you're going to have required hours of watching Dear Leader's YouTube channel, and you'll have to have nice comments increase your social credit score. So if you say nice things to the Prime Minister, then you get better social credit score. So better meat and stuff too. And then if you say mean things, then you don't get any food at all. They'll just starve you. But yeah, Trudeau says, I'm on YouTube. You'll find videos about the budget process, the new Canadian dental care plan, the grocery rebate, and much more. Viva Fry says, Justin Trudeau launched a YouTube page. How long until he turns off comments? Make your predictions. And so I don't know. We'll see. I'm shocked that he's got comments on. Apparently the comments are still on. I don't know if they're on right now, but they were on as of yesterday evening, and I couldn't be bothered to go through it because, I mean, mostly it's vitriol, like you'd expect. Billboard Chris and the things that went on with him. Here is just a partial kind of quick update about what's going on. But Billboard Chris himself says, I was not pushing the woman away. He's responding to the New York Post, says their article says conservative activist attacked during trans rights rally in Canada. And in the article, it has some misinformation that Chris is correcting. He says, I was not pushing the woman away at her throat, New York Post. Please fix your article. I placed a hand on his chest as he continued to crowd my space, making it impossible for me to move, screaming inches from my ear. That's assault, by the way. You can't do that. You can't walk up to somebody. Like if you try that in a bar, like just go and scream at somebody who's standing there quietly or sitting on a bar stool or something like that. The bouncers will throw you out and say you can't do that. And try doing it in a park, right? You're angry at somebody and just go scream at them. Somebody will say, hey, you can't do that. That's assault, right? And these officers really failed. Really, really failed. Billboard Chris says, now the Vancouver PD is playing victim. How about you just do your job and arrest the assaulters and suspend Constable Friedrich Brockman, who watched the violence with glee. Then the rest of the world won't be calling you out for your incompetence. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Here is, well, the article says, this is the Vancouver Sun. It says, Vancouver Police Department Deputy Chief appalled by online criticism following trans rights rally. What rights don't they have, by the way? Billboard Chris again says, an account named Barno Legs, created in February 22 with the name of the smiling constable Friedrich Brockman, has been liking tweets associated with the Transgender Day of Visibility, feminism, etc. Most interestingly, she liked to tweet about my assault, which says, I've been laughing at the videos ever since I stumbled across them, and I think I'd be rolling on the floor in hysterics if I'd witnessed that firsthand. Do we need any more evidence? She's unfit for duty. And so that's interesting that the female officer is so openly tweeting like that. And be careful, because who knows who created that account. Could be her, might not be, but take everything on the internet with a grain of salt, right? But this kind of stuff deserves an honest investigation, and there isn't one, right? Here's Vancouver Police. They say Vancouver Police are sharing video and images from violent confrontations at yesterday's trans rights rally and are asking people who witnessed the incidents to come forward to assist with the investigation. Hughes says the incident was recorded in its entirety and from multiple angles. The majority of witnesses were the aggressors. Other than having a complete video and audio account of the confrontation, what exactly are you seeking? Your officers were also caught on film laughing at a man while he was being violently attacked by a mob of thugs. This was an intentional failure to protect and serve. No officer could continue to serve after such a serious dereliction of duty. The conduct of other officers will be succinct, so I suggest you get ahead of the game quickly. Your police force just became an international embarrassment. How will you respond? How does he respond? Indeed. He says, T-Mac says, Deputy Chow should be embarrassed by her conduct, her sneering and smugness, standing there with her hands in her pocket, not carrying herself like a police officer should. And Chow says, well, I am embarrassed and appalled about the vile and abusive comments this officer and other officers have had to endure on Twitter. This is not okay. The incident is being investigated. Billboard Chris says, man up, Deputy Chow. Have you arrested them yet? And so no is the answer. It's a horse and pony show, right? Like it's a dog and pony show. They're not going to actually do anything, in my opinion, and I think they're probably trying to look at ways to levy charges against Chris. If I'm a betting man, that's what I'm saying. But it's incredible that there isn't outrage, right? The silence from our politicians at every level, right? The silence from other police chiefs. I do want to know what our police chiefs, what my police chief thinks about this kind of stuff. What does the Toronto police chief think about this kind of stuff, right? Just incredible. Is it okay to stand by while somebody you disagree with politically gets assaulted? It appears that's being normalized. Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. You can check out full episodes of Canada Poly every day at CanadaPoly.com. You can also go to CanadaPoly.com and pick up a ticket for a live event. The live event is taking place in Streetsville, and the location will be provided to ticket holders. But You can check out a live event. Dr. Patrick Phillips, Sarah C., and Scarlett Martin. I'm sorry, Sarah. I don't know I can't say your last name, and I'm terrible at saying last names. We'll be joining Greg Wycliffe and myself for an uncensored round table. It would be lovely if you could join us. Tickets at CanadaPoly.com. And if you live in Toronto, Mississauga, Milton, GTA, Hamilton, Guelph, Kitchener, Cambridge, it's probably well worth the drive to Streetsville. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.